how they assumed that humans would scatter, but every action they took met resistance. Fighter jets attacked with precision, satellites fired pulses that jammed communication, and civilians on the ground used improvised weapons to slow alien advances. The chaos frustrated the invaders. They could not predict a species so wild, so unpredictable, yet so united. In the ruins of New York, a group of survivors organized a defense line. Engineers mounted old machine guns on trucks while medics treated the wounded in makeshift tents. Soldiers led civilians, teaching them basic tactics to protect their homes. Every street became a battleground, and every act of resistance, no matter how small, became a symbol of hope. High above, alien commanders convened. They could not understand Earth's defiance. "They are illogical," one said. "Their weapons are primitive, yet they harm us. Their morale is extraordinary. They do not fear death." "Why?" Another simply shook his head. "The humans. Resilience was something that no algorithm, no prediction, and no war plan could calculate." As the hours passed, humans began to strike back in ways even they had not imagined. Young pilots, barely trained, flew with courage that defied experience. Scientists remotely controlled satellites to interfere with alien targeting systems. Ordinary citizens used city landscapes to create traps and distractions, turning their streets into battlegrounds of ingenuity. Every action, however small, sent a clear message: Earth would not surrender. Dr. Aisha watched from a rooftop as a small team of volunteers guided children through back alleys while dodging alien patrols. She felt a surge of pride and fear at the same time. These were ordinary people, yet they were performing extraordinary acts. Humanity was learning quickly, and in their hearts, a fire was igniting that no weapon could destroy. By evening, the alien fleet had begun to retreat, unable to crush the resistance entirely. Earth had survived the first full day of attack, but the cost was heavy. Thousands were lost, cities were scarred, and the planet itself seemed to tremble with the violence it had witnessed. Yet through it all, humanity had proved a truth that no alien had expected. Courage, unity, and love for home could stand against the most advanced weapons in the galaxy. President Torres addressed the nation in a simple broadcast, her voice steady and emotional. "They believed we would run. They believed we would beg. But Earth is not weak. Earth fights. And we will continue to fight together." Her words spread across the globe, filling humans with hope and a renewed sense of purpose. That night, as fires burned across the horizon, survivors looked up at the stars. They knew the war had only begun, but for the first time they realized something incredible. Humans had the power to resist, to rise, and to change the course of history. The galaxy would soon discover that Earth was no longer a quiet observer. It was a force to be reckoned with. The morning sun rose over a scarred Earth, casting long shadows across ruined cities. Smoke still curled into the sky, but humans no longer ran in fear. They were learning to fight, to survive, and to strike back. Across the globe, soldiers, volunteers, and scientists worked together to rebuild defenses and launch their first organized counterattacks. President Elena Torres met with her advisors in the underground command center. Maps of the alien fleet hovered above the table, dotted with red markers representing enemy positions. "We cannot just defend anymore," she said, her voice firm but calm. "We have to take the fight to them. We have survived this long by working together. Now we will show them the strength of Earth." In orbit, small human ships prepared for a daring strike. These vessels were old, patched together with fragments of space programs abandoned decades ago. Yet the pilots inside were determined. Young men and women, some barely trained, checked their systems with steady hands and hearts pounding with both fear and courage. They were about to face enemies far more advanced than anything humans had ever built. But they carried something more powerful: the will to protect their planet. Dr. Aisha Khan coordinated rescue missions on the ground while scientists worked tirelessly to provide support from orbit. She had seen fear, loss, and heartbreak, but she had also seen the bravery that refused to be broken. Families helped each other, and volunteers guided survivors through rubble-filled streets. Every life saved was a victory, and every act of courage inspired the next. Humanity's spirit was uniting the planet like never before. In space, the first counterattack began. Human ships launched from secret bases, targeting alien supply lines and communication satellites. Their weapons were crude, but their attacks were precise, driven by desperation and ingenuity. Alien ships scrambled to respond, surprised by the humans' boldness. "They attack us? With this?" an alien commander exclaimed. "These creatures, they are unpredictable. Their courage, it is dangerous." Back on Earth, citizens did what they could to aid the defense. Engineers rigged trucks with cannons and lasers salvaged from old satellites. Civilians created traps in city streets to slow alien ground forces. Even children contributed, alerting adults to dangers and guiding those too weak to move quickly. Fear had not disappeared. It had transformed into determination. Humans were no longer passive targets. They were active defenders of their world. In New York, Dr. Aisha Khan watched a young pilot take off from a makeshift launch pad. She whispered, a prayer for him, knowing he might not return. "Go, protect Earth," she said, tears falling silently. Every human who risked their life for another, every scientist, every volunteer, every soldier, was shaping a resistance that no alien could have imagined. Alien ships launched counterstrikes, but humans fought with a unity the invaders could not understand. They coordinated attacks, shared information, and adapted quickly. Every success, no matter how small, shook the enemy's confidence. Every setback made humans smarter, more creative, and more determined. By evening, humans had scored small victories. Alien supply lines were disrupted, minor ships were destroyed, and crucial satellites were disabled. The aliens realized that Earth would not bend, and that humans could fight in ways no algorithm could predict. For the first time, the invaders understood. Earth was not weak. Earth was dangerous. President Torres addressed the world again, her voice resolute. "They thought we were weak. They thought we would run. But Earth is alive with courage, with love, and with hope. We fight not because we want war, but because we must protect our home. And together we will win." On the ground and in space, humans prepared for the next wave of attacks. They were battered, tired, and grieving, yet their determination burned, brighter than the stars above. The galaxy had underestimated them, and Earth was ready to prove that humanity's strength was more than technology. It was heart, spirit, and the unbreakable will to survive. The counterattack had begun. Humanity was no longer just defending, it was fighting back, and the universe would never see them the same way again. Days had passed since the first attacks. Earth was scarred, but its people were alive, united, and determined. Fires still smoked over cities, and the echoes of chaos lingered in every street. Yet humans had changed. They no longer ran in fear. They had discovered strength in their courage, in their unity, and in the love for their home. The first counterattacks had given them hope, but the war was far from over. President Elena Torres stood once more in the underground command center. She studied maps of alien positions and supply lines, noting weak points. "We have survived," she said quietly, her eyes burning with resolve. "And now we strike with purpose. Every human has a role. Every action matters. We will not let fear control us. We will protect Earth together." High above the planet, human ships launched coordinated attacks with precision never thought possible. Pilots who had flown for only weeks now moved like seasoned veterans. Their weapons were still simple, but they struck at the heart of the alien fleets. Supply ships were destroyed, communications were jammed, and alien formations were broken. Every success bolstered human confidence and morale. Humanity was learning faster than anyone in the galaxy had anticipated. Dr. Aisha Khan worked tirelessly on the ground, coordinating rescue operations while monitoring orbital strikes. She had witnessed grief, fear, and devastation, but she had also seen humanity's heart shine. Volunteers carried the wounded through rubble, neighbors shared what little food remained, and children comforted one another in shelters. Every act of bravery, no matter how small, inspired others. Humanity's spirit was unstoppable. In the skies, alien commanders grew frantic. Their calculations had assumed humans would be weak, slow, and disorganized. Instead, they faced a planet-wide resistance that adapted, improvised, and struck back. "They are extraordinary," one officer whispered to another. "No one should have survived this long against us. Yet here they are, stronger than ever." Why? On Earth, civilians became part of the war effort in ways the aliens could not predict. Engineers rebuilt old weapons, teachers trained volunteers, and medics treated the wounded under fire. Streets became battlegrounds, and every human contribution disrupted alien plans. The unpredictability of Earth's defense turned into a weapon, as powerful as any laser or missile. Dr. Aisha watched a young pilot return from a dangerous mission, his ship battered but intact. He had destroyed a key supply vessel, crippling an alien fleet. Tears filled her eyes as she embraced him. "You did it, she." The galaxy had been at war for centuries. Empires rose and fell, stars were destroyed, and countless planets burned in the endless fighting. Every civilization was either a conqueror or a victim. Yet Earth remained untouched, quiet, and small. Humans had built their world carefully, focused on their cities, families, and dreams. They had watched the stars with curiosity, but war had never touched them. Humans stayed out of the galactic conflict, and for a long time, they were safe. Dr. Aisha Khan walked alone on the streets of New York City as the sun set, painting the sky in shades of orange and purple. She loved the quiet moments when the world seemed ordinary and peaceful. Children laughed in the parks, couples held hands, and streetlights flickered on one by one. Aisha thought about her research in interstellar communication, imagining what it would be like if humans could finally send messages to other civilizations. Little did she know, something far bigger than research was coming to Earth, something that would change everything. Far across the galaxy, massive fleets of warships moved silently through the darkness. Alien generals argued over strategy, resources, and revenge. One warlord, cloaked in shadows, frowned at a holographic map. "There is a planet," he said, pointing to a small blue dot, "that has not yet joined the war. They hide while the galaxy burns. That cannot continue. They must be taught their place." His words were cold, but the meaning was clear. Earth would no longer be left alone. That night, the sky over Earth erupted in fire. Without warning, alien warships appeared in orbit, their weapons glowing bright and deadly. Cities below were lit with the flashes of destruction. Communication systems failed, and panic spread like wildfire. Humans who had never seen a war now faced one that could destroy their planet in minutes. In Washington, President Elena Torres watched the attacks on her screens, her heart racing. Her advisors shouted choices she could barely consider: surrender, negotiate, or fight a war they were unprepared for. She refused to panic. "We cannot let them take Earth," she said, her voice steady even as her hands trembled. "We will fight. We have to fight." Everywhere, ordinary humans acted with courage beyond expectation. Firefighters rescued people. From collapsing buildings, soldiers ran into danger to protect civilians, and volunteers helped the injured. Engineers and programmers worked feverishly to use old satellites, drones, and experimental weapons as defenses. It was chaotic and frightening, yet something remarkable began to emerge. Humans were united by fear, hope, and love for their world. They were determined to survive. In space, the aliens were shocked. They had expected humans to scatter or surrender. Instead, small Earth satellites fired back with surprising accuracy. Communication jammers disrupted their attacks, and even simple weapons caused unexpected damage. One alien commander stared at his screens. "This planet, they fight differently. They do not flee. They do not beg. They resist." Why? On the ground, Dr. Aisha Khan helped evacuate people from the most dangerous zones. Her hands shook and tears filled her eyes as she guided terrified families. But amidst the fear, she saw acts of bravery that lifted her spirit. Neighbors protected strangers. Children shared food with the hungry. Strangers held each other's hands in the dark. The spirit of humanity was alive, defiant, and unyielding, a spark the galaxy had never anticipated. The attack had awakened Earth. Humans had stayed out of galactic wars because they did not need to fight. Now, they had no choice. Survival demanded courage, unity, and strength beyond imagination. The galaxy was about to witness a force it had underestimated. Earth had been peaceful, small, and quiet, but it was also resilient, and humanity's fire was about to burn brighter than anyone had ever imagined. The war had reached Earth's doorstep, and nothing would ever be the same again. The night sky above Earth was alive with fire and chaos. Alien warships hovered in orbit, their weapons glowing like cold stars of death. Below, cities burned, and the screams of terrified humans echoed through streets once filled with laughter. Yet, amid the fear, humanity did not break. Instead, something remarkable began to emerge. Courage. President Elena Torres stood in the GEO command center beneath the White House. Large screens showed the alien fleet advancing, while maps of Earth's defenses flickered red and orange. Her advisors moved quickly, suggesting strategies, but she could see the panic in their eyes. "We may not have their technology," she said firmly, "but we have something they will never understand: our will to fight. We will protect our planet. Every life matters. Every stand counts." In the skies above, humans fired what little they had. Old satellites were reprogrammed to release high-energy pulses. Fighter jets, outdated but piloted with determination, soared into the fire, dodging alien lasers and launching missiles that barely scratched the enemy. Yet even these small acts caused confusion among the invaders. Their attacks, designed for surrendering civilizations, were suddenly imperfect. Earth's resistance, chaotic and unplanned, frustrated them. Dr. Aisha Khan guided civilians into underground bunkers. Families huddled together, children crying, clutching toys and blankets. As explosions shook the ground, Aisha whispered words of comfort, though her own hands trembled. "We will get through this," she said. "We are not alone. We are Earth. We survive together." She felt hope in her words, a fragile flame that refused to die. In the streets, ordinary humans became heroes. Firefighters saved people trapped under rubble. Engineers modified vehicles into mobile defense units. Teachers led students through burning neighborhoods to safety. Everywhere, acts of bravery appeared in the midst of horror. Strangers held hands, shared food, and shielded each other from danger. Earth was alive with determination, and every act of courage was a signal to the galaxy. Humanity would not yield. High above, alien commanders grew frustrated. Their calculations had assumed fear, surrender, or negotiation. Instead, they faced unpredictable resistance, fueled by emotion and instinct rather than strategy. "This planet," one officer hissed. "They fight like nothing we have ever seen. They do not fear. They do not break. Why?" Confusion rippled through their fleet as humans continued to interfere with their attacks. In orbit, a small group of scientists and engineers, Earth's first attempt at space defense, worked tirelessly. Using fragments of old satellites, they sent out signals to jam alien communications. Even when their systems failed repeatedly, they tried again, driven by a sense of purpose far greater than themselves. Every minor victory, an alien ship disabled, a laser deflected, was celebrated quietly in the command centers and bunkers. Humanity's heart was beating faster, and it refused to stop. Meanwhile, civilians kept helping each other. Neighbors dragged wounded friends from streets, children comforted frightened parents, and volunteers distributed supplies in the dark. The chaos had a rhythm now, a strange harmony of fear, hope, and determination. Humans were not organized like the alien armies, but their unpredictability became a weapon. Every rescue, every small counterattack was a reminder that Earth had a strength the galaxy had never measured: the human spirit. As the first wave of attacks slowed, the sky above was scarred with smoke and fire. But Earth had survived its first stand. Thousands were gone, countless buildings destroyed, yet humanity remained. President Torres stood on a balcony overlooking the chaos, feeling exhaustion and pride. "They thought we would bow," she said softly. "They thought we would run. But we are Earth, and we will fight." Far in the galaxy, alien leaders shared reports of Earth's defiance. Their shock and confusion spread quickly. A planet they had assumed weak had revealed a strength that could not be calculated. "Perhaps," one warlord murmured, "we underestimated them. Perhaps this war will be different than we imagined." On Earth, survivors emerged from shelters, determined to rebuild what was lost. They were bruised, shaken, and mourning, but their resolve burned brighter than any laser in the sky. Humanity had taken its first stand, and it had proven that even the smallest planet could resist the greatest enemy. The war had reached Earth, but for the first time, the galaxy saw that humans were not helpless. They were alive, defiant, and unbreakable. The morning after the first attack, Earth was quiet, but not peaceful. Smoke hung over cities, streets were torn, and sirens still wailed in a rhythm of fear. Yet among the ruins, humanity's courage burned brighter than ever. Survivors emerged from shelters helping one another, organizing what little resources remained. Fear still clung to them, but determination was stronger. In the White House Command Center, President Elena Torres and her team worked tirelessly. Screens showed alien ships hovering over major cities ready to strike again. Yet now humans were fighting back with more than instinct. They were learning. Engineers had rigged old satellites to launch energy pulses, while programmers hacked alien systems when possible. Every small success was celebrated as if it were a victory in a war that had already begun. Dr. Aisha Khan moved from shelter to shelter, guiding terrified families and inspiring hope where despair lingered. "We have lost much," she told a group of children, "but we have something no one can take away. Our courage, our hearts, our will to protect each other. That is stronger than any weapon." The children, clutching blankets and stuffed toys, nodded slowly, learning that even in fear, bravery could grow. Meanwhile, alien ships adjusted their strategy. Whispered, "You showed them we will not give up. We are Earth. We fight for every life." The pilot smiled, exhausted but proud. Humanity had begun to show its true power, not in technology alone, but in courage and heart. Even in space, aliens began to lose hope. Their formations fractured, and confusion spread through their ranks. Human unpredictability, combined with bravery and unity, made them impossible to defeat by conventional strategy. For the first time, alien leaders realized Earth was not a planet to be conquered easily. It was a force to be reckoned with. As night fell, humans took a moment to reflect. Cities glowed with fires and lights, survivors tending to the injured, planning their next moves. President Torres addressed the world in a calm, steady voice. "They believed we would break. They believed we would surrender. But Earth stands, tall. Every life we save, every strike we make, proves that courage and unity are stronger than fear. This is our home, and we will protect it, no matter the cost." In the hearts of every human, a new fire burned. They were no longer passive, victims of a war that came to them. They were defenders, fighters, and heroes. The tide of battle was slowly turning. Earth was no longer just surviving. It was fighting back with strength, strategy, and spirit that no one, not even the galaxy, could ignore. The war was far from over, but humanity had taken its first great step toward victory. They had shown the galaxy that Earth would never bow, never break, and never surrender. Humanity had awakened, and their courage had begun to change the course of history. The alien fleet loomed over Earth like a dark storm, massive ships blotting out the stars. They had expected easy conquest, yet Earth had survived and struck back with a force they had never imagined. The humans were no longer just defending. They were preparing for a decisive strike that could change the course of the war. President Elena Torres stood before the Global Command Council. Her face was tired, her eyes heavy with the weight of loss, but her voice carried strength. "This is not just a fight for survival," she said. "It is a fight for our home, our families, our future. Every human has contributed, every act of courage has mattered. Today we strike with unity, heart, and purpose. Today we remind the galaxy that Earth cannot be conquered." In orbit, human pilots prepared for their most dangerous mission yet. The ships were small, patched together with old programs and scavenged technology, but their crews were determined. Young men and women, barely trained but fearless, checked their systems one last time. They were about to face alien vessels far larger and more advanced than anything humans had ever built. But they carried the most powerful weapon of all, their courage and love for home. Dr. Aisha Khan coordinated evacuation and support operations on Earth while monitoring the orbital strike. She had witnessed fear, grief, and destruction, but she had also seen humanity's unwavering spirit. Volunteers helped the wounded, engineers prepared emergency defenses, and ordinary citizens worked tirelessly to protect each other. Every action, every sacrifice, added to a force that the aliens could not calculate. The attack began at dawn. Human ships launched from hidden bases, targeting alien supply lines and command vessels. Missiles, energy pulses, and improvised weapons tore through enemy ranks. Alien ships trained to fight disciplined opponents were caught off guard by the humans' unpredictability. Every strike was precise, every maneuver bold, and every victory, no matter how small, inspired the humans still on the planet. On the ground, people watched the skies, cheering as alien ships were disabled. Children clung to parents, whispering prayers for the pilots above. Firefighters, medics, and volunteers coordinated rescue missions, ensuring that civilians stayed safe even as chaos unfolded. Earth had become a living, breathing battleground, and every citizen was part of the fight. Alien commanders panicked. Their calculations had failed. "They are impossible," one hissed. "Every attack, every move. They are stronger than we predicted. Their courage fuels them. They are not like other civilizations we have destroyed." The fleet's cohesion broke, confusion spreading among the ships. Humans struck relentlessly, exploiting weaknesses that no algorithm could have predicted. In orbit, Dr. Aisha watched as one young pilot, barely 20 years old, maneuvered his ship between massive alien vessels, dodging lasers and delivering a crippling strike to a command ship. He radioed back, voice trembling but proud. "For Earth. For everyone." The moment filled Aisha with tears, fear, pride, and hope mingling together. Humanity was proving that heart and will could surpass technology and firepower. By nightfall, the alien fleet had suffered devastating losses. Many ships retreated, others were destroyed, and their leaders realized they had underestimated Earth completely. Humans had turned defense into offense, survival into strategy, and hope into unstoppable courage. President Torres addressed the world, her voice echoing across continents. "They believed we would break. They believed we would surrender. But Earth stands. Every life, every act of bravery, every human spirit has mattered. We have shown the galaxy that we are not weak. We are alive, we are strong, and we will protect our home. Always." Across the planet, humans looked up at the sky, exhausted but triumphant. Fires still burned, but the stars were no longer darkened by fear. Earth had struck back and survived. The war was not yet over, but humanity had proved something that no alien could ignore. Courage, unity, and love for home were weapons more powerful than any fleet. The decisive strike had changed the balance. Humanity had risen, fierce and unyielding, ready to face whatever the galaxy would throw next. Earth had awakened, and the universe would never forget it. The morning after the decisive strike, Earth was scarred but unbroken. Cities lay in ruins. Smoke still rose from the streets, and families mourned lost loved ones. Yet amid the devastation, humanity stood tall. They had survived a war they were never meant to fight. They had faced a galaxy that thought them weak, and they had proven that courage, heart, and unity were forces no technology could destroy. President Elena Torres addressed the people of Earth from the underground command center. Her voice was calm but filled with emotion, carrying across every broadcast network. They believed we would break. They believed we would surrender. But Earth is alive. Every life we save, every act of courage, has proven that our strength lies not in weapons alone but in our hearts. We fight not because we want war, but because we must protect our home. And together, we will endure. Across the planet, humans work to rebuild. Streets once torn by battle were cleared. Hospitals tended to the wounded, while volunteers distributed food and comfort. Children, though frightened, smiled as neighbors, held hands and shared stories of heroism from the night before. The spirit of humanity was unbroken. Even in grief, there was hope. Even in ruin, there was strength. In orbit, the remaining alien ships had retreated, shaken by the unexpected resilience of the planet below. Alien commanders communicated in frustration, unable to comprehend a civilization that had risen so quickly, fought so fiercely, and refused to yield. "How can this be?" one muttered. "They are impossible. They are alive in a way we cannot destroy." Dr. Aisha Khan walked through the rubble of New York, guiding survivors and offering comfort. Tears streaked her face, but she smiled at the small victories. Families reunited, injured treated, children finding laughter again. She had seen death, destruction, and fear, but she had also seen humanity's brightest moments. Every act of bravery, every choice to help another, had changed the course of history. Across the planet, stories of heroism spread. A young pilot had taken down a command ship at the cost of his life, inspiring a generation. Firefighters and volunteers had saved thousands, often risking everything. Scientists had hacked alien systems, turning their own technology against them. Every human had played a role, and every role had mattered. Earth had become more than a planet. It had become a symbol of defiance and courage. As night fell, the sky glowed with the remnants of the alien fleet retreating into space. Humans gathered in the streets, looking upward. Their planet had survived. Their families were alive, and their hearts were filled with a new understanding. Earth had never been weak. It had been quiet, patient, and underestimated. But now, the galaxy knew the truth. President Torres addressed the world one final time, that day. "Today we have survived the unimaginable. Today we have proven that courage, love, and unity are more powerful than fear. We will rebuild. We will honor those we lost. And we will be ready for whatever comes next. Earth is awake, and we will never back down." Dr. Aisha Khan watched children play in the streets, their laughter rising above the ruins. She felt hope swell in her chest. Humanity had faced annihilation and had emerged stronger. They had not only defended their planet, they had awakened the galaxy to the force of human courage. In the distance, alien ships vanished into the stars, carrying stories of a species that refused to surrender. The war had not ended, but Earth had changed forever. Humanity had discovered its true strength, not in technology nor in weapons, but in heart, spirit, and unity. And as night fully settled, Earth stood proud, alive, and unbowed. The galaxy had learned a lesson it would never forget. To challenge humans was to challenge the unstoppable will of a species that would fight for its home, no matter the cost. Humanity had awakened,